9 minutes before the top of the hour, joining us right now to react to last night's vote, which is crushing for Republicans, are House Republicans Jim Jordan of Ohio, Mark Meadows of North Carolina, Andy Biggs of Arizona, and Matt Gaetz of Florida. Thanks so much for joining us, Congressman.
Great to be with you. Thanks.
Okay, so Mr. Meadows, let's start with you. There are a lot of Republicans disappointed in your colleagues across the Capitol over on the Senate side that they were not able to get on the same page. The president's disappointed. You've already talked to the president this morning. Where do you go from here?
You know, it certainly is disappointing. It's not what we promised the American people. But, you know, honestly, we were having to wait for a CBO score for the next 2 weeks anyways. So what we need to really do is focus on delivering on the promise. And I can tell you the president, as you mentioned, is already engaged this morning. We're going to go back to work to make sure that we actually get a bill. Really, what we were talking about last night was passing something to allow us to bring up a bill in a couple of weeks. So now we just work on that perfect bill, make sure that we bring it forward. I'm optimistic we can still get it done. You know, the people are losing faith, but we're going to stay in. I can tell you who's staying in. The president is staying in on this fight. He's going to deliver. He made it very clear this morning.
But what's the way forward, Congressman Jordan? I don't understand. They tried big. They tried skinny. They couldn't even get it to conference. Yeah. I'm sure you weren't thrilled to go into conference because you gave them a bill they didn't even vote on. You had to really compromise to get that forward. Where do you go from here?
Well, there may have to be a little bit of a shift in how we approach it. Some new ideas brought to the table. As Mark indicated, we were going to have to wait for a CBO score anyway, just the nature of the rules of this place. So we'll see. I think there is a way forward because the pressure has been so much. Here we are, one vote short last night. The other thing we're doing is we started the discharge petition process last week where we think let's bring up the clean repeal in the House. Let's show we have the votes for the clean repeal, that we can actually keep our word with what we told the voters last year. When we voted for this, what we put on President Obama's desk, let's put the same thing on President Trump's desk. That's been what we've said all along. So let's show we have the votes for that. That a little more pressure, a little more motivation for the Senate to do the right thing and come together like Mark had talked about.
Congressman Biggs, you tweeted this: we should not go home without making significant progress on Obamacare repeal, tax reform, budget, and debt ceiling. Hashtag cancel August recess. Is that going to happen? Or are you guys going to stick around and stay through August? Because a lot of the Americans that are watching are frustrated because they think y'all are spending so much time on health care. You need to get it done and focus on the other things that people care about, too.
Well, unfortunately, I think we're going to be gone in August, which is mind-boggling to me. There is so much work to be done. I think Mark and Jim have carefully laid it out. We can get some things done. We've got the discharge petition going. We've got some other ideas that we need to work with in the health care. But we also have the budget. We've got the tax reform. We've got a debt ceiling argument coming. It blows my mind that we're probably not going to be here in August. But I'll tell you this. Then we'll come back in September for a week or so, and then we'll take another week off. This is just not what the American people want. And
who's in favor of doing that when we've got so many pressing issues that affect families?
Not the Freedom Caucus.
Not us. Not us, I tell you. So, you know, I just keep pushing and hoping that maybe we'll get to do some work here in August.
Well, there is some stuff many of you are united behind. And Congressman Gaetz, let's talk a little bit about how the House Freedom Caucus is urging a probe of James Comey and Hillary Clinton's email. Wait a minute. I haven't heard much about that. What are you trying to get done?
Well, listen, for the last 7 months, it's felt like Republicans have been bringing a peace sign to a gunfight with Democrats. Each and every day, Democrats are talking about impeaching our president. Meanwhile, there seems to be a double standard in justice. The 2016 election was a rule of law election, and I don't think that the crimes of the prior administration of Hillary Clinton, the collusion with James Comey and Loretta should be forgotten just because Hillary Clinton lost the election. So we are fighting in the Judiciary Committee to exercise our oversight authority, and let's get to the bottom of all the scandals that happened in the last administration.
Congressman Meadows, I got to ask you, too, I don't know how close you're following what was going on yesterday with this Fusion GPS. Senator Graham talking about the fact that they directly were linking to going after Trump. And this organization will not answer subpoenas, the people in charge, and behind the dossier. This is, I mean, you want the Russians involved? Maybe they're involved. And maybe they're involved, too, with this Fusion GPS. What can you tell us?
Well, you're spot on, and that's one of the interesting things, the work that the colleagues here have really put forth. They sent a letter yesterday, signed by Chairman Goodlatte, to say, let's go ahead and appoint a special counsel. We've got a resolution on the House floor to look at that very thing. You know, we don't know at this point, but to be able to put a arm block and say that we're not going to look into it because perhaps it may go into areas of a previous administration. Sure. It's just not what the American people want. So I think it's time that we investigate the investigators and go ahead and get to the bottom of that.
Congressman Jordan, go ahead.
I was going to say Fusion GPS is part of what we should look into, as well as the crazy immunity deal that Cheryl Mills got. And the fundamental question, the Attorney General of the United States told the FBI Director of the United States, go tell the American public something that is not true. Go lie to the American people in the midst of an election. That should be investigated, as Matt pointed out.
Sure. We need the help of the American people. Look, we need the American people to contact their members of Congress, tell them to join us in sponsoring House Resolution 477. And Fusion GPS is one of the areas we've identified for a special counsel to get involved and investigate. If we've got a special counsel investigating the Trump administration for bogus charges, we need to investigate the real criminals for the real crimes.
What about the Loretta Lynch meeting with Bill Clinton on the tarmac and the Uranium One deal?
Oh, now they were just talking things with their family.
That's all.
You know, I mean, it smells. And when we look at Loretta Lynch saying that it is a matter, not an investigation, my good friend Jim Jordan says it's not the Federal Bureau of Matters, it's the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and that's what it was. And we need to call it what it is, and we need to call her out and hold her accountable.
All right. The Freedom Caucus on TV, working on a Friday in the summer. Guys, thank you very much for joining us.